New year, better me on the Shade More Morning Show. Give it up game on finances, relationships, fitness, and yes, faith. Pastor AD3 of the city is here with me this morning. I finally tracked you down.
I'm glad to be here. God bless you. God bless everybody listening.
I came to your church one Sunday. Your testimony had a huge impact on me. I've never heard of someone losing both of their parents to a plane crash. And that happened to you. It's such a unique situation that I immediately wanted you on the show to talk about faith. How did you make it through that uncommon situation and not lose your faith in God?
Yeah, that was one of actually the most devastating time of my life, not just my life, but the life of my family. I think the cliche statement is the Lord carried me through, but that's the truth. I don't think we realize that he's all we need until he's all we have. And like I was at that point where he was all I had. I didn't have my mom to call and gain wisdom from. I didn't have my father to be that pillar of strength to kind of give me that motivation. All it was me, my newly married wife, my 15-year-old sister, and my 18-year-old brother, and I had to get it out the mud at that time. And the Lord was the one who helped me dig where I needed to dig in order to get what I needed to get. And so my relationship with him and the depth and the intimacy was created through that suffering. Because I think oftentimes we don't realize, Shay, that it's in the depths of suffering that we see the power and strength of God like never before. And I think that was my experience.
I know that there's somebody listening this morning who recently lost a parent or lost a significant relationship, even maybe lost a job, and their faith may be failing them. What advice could you give someone who's suffering this morning listening to us talk?
I think the best advice I can give them right now is don't let those moments define you. Do not let those moments define you. Yes, they've happened to you. Yes, they've happened around you, but they don't need to define you. Every challenge that you embark upon, every challenge that you face is an opportunity for God to show his strength. I would encourage them that this year, I want them to ask themselves, what is God teaching me through this? What can I learn through this? What can I see through this? How can this benefit me? And not only that, Shay, but how can this, as it's benefiting me, I can turn and cause it to be a benefit to someone else?
I know when you were going through this in real time, you were not in the space that you're in now. But take us back to that time. What were you feeling in that moment when you learned about your parents' death?
What I was feeling in that moment was I was pissed. I ain't even gonna lie. I was so angry. I was like, why me? This is not fair. Why my family? It could have been some other people. Like, I know some other people who could have died and nobody would have missed them. You know what I mean?
Wow. You keeping it real.
I had to understand that suffering is universal. Suffering is not something that is just chosen for those who, quote unquote, deserve it or are bad people or good people. I think that suffering is universal, but in the midst of that suffering, I saw myself, I saw the Lord, I saw his power, his might, his strength, and I would encourage anyone who's listening to me right now who's dealing with a difficult situation or dealing with those raw emotions that God isn't afraid of those raw emotions. As a matter of fact, he welcomed them. He welcomed them. He pulled them out of me. He welcomed the authenticity of my emotions. He didn't want me to hide how I was feeling. He didn't want me to hide what I was thinking. He welcomed them as a loving father, and he wasn't afraid of them. That's one thing I learned about God through all of that suffering and all the suffering I still continue to endure, is that God is not afraid of my hard questions. God is not afraid of my emotions. God is not afraid of my anger, but he welcomes them, and he meets me where I am with his love, with his grace, and his mercy. And he'll see me through and help me navigate through whatever I'm facing.
A little bit earlier, you talked about being angry with God.
Right.
Can we be angry at God? Does he get upset with us if we're upset with him?
No, I think anger is an attribute that is from God. The Lord, over and over again in Scripture, it says that the Lord was angry. And being angry with God doesn't mean we lack faith.
Right.
What it means, Shay, is we're human. That's what it means. And the Bible is riddled with examples of people who've expressed their frustrations with God. You got the famous book in the Bible, Job.
Yeah.
Job seemed to be minding his own business, saying, then, you know what I'm saying, here comes the enemy up, and God is like, have you considered my servant Job? You know, like, or David. You read the book of Psalms. The book of Psalms is all about the expressions of David's raw emotion. But what I love about Psalms say is that he always ends with glorying to God. He always ends with praise. You see Jeremiah. There's a whole book of the Bible Jeremiah wrote called Lamentations. And so God is not afraid of our anger. He is big enough, strong enough, and grown enough to handle our questions. He's big enough, strong enough, and grown enough to handle our pain. And watch this say, even our accusations. He invites us to bring those to him. And so he's a dad. He's the ultimate dad. He's the epitome of a good father. And so what good father wouldn't want their child to be their authentic self and express themselves to them?
This is an interesting conversation. You know,
it's delicate.
You're a married man. You've got kids. How do you talk to your kids about faith?
Gradually and situationally. You know,
okay.
Kids are just adults in training.
Mm-hmm.
What we try to do is we try to use simple words. Sometimes you may feel mad at God, or I think sometimes parents see their kids' situations and automatically be like, well, you ain't got to pay no bills. You better cheer up and get happy. I know sometimes I do that, but also in the back of my mind, I'm like, they're just enduring many adult situations, you know? And so I try to help them to see that the situations may not change as they get older, but their perspective needs to. Unfortunately, Shay, the only way you can learn endurance is, guess what? By enduring.
Right.
And so I try to do with them what the Lord does with me. I step in their situation with them. I help to navigate them. I give them wisdom, sound advice, love, and give them all the tools to be able to make the decisions in that situation that they need to make. And then if they make the right decisions, quote unquote, I'm with them. If they make the wrong decisions, quote unquote, I'm with them. And that, I think that ultimately teaches them about believing God for the best outcome in their situation.
Talking with Pastor AD3, senior pastor of the city. You moved into the new church building in the summertime. I was there at the last service that you had at the Gym Theater. How can folks visit church and experience what you and your beautiful wife offer every Sunday?
Oh, you're too kind. Kansas City, you can look us up on all social media platforms at The City KC. At The City KC. You can visit our website, thecitykc.com. We're right on the corner of Blue Ridge and Gregory. We just moved over there in Raytown. We have 3 weekend services, 8:30, 10:30, and 12:30. We would love to see you. Our 5 heartbeats are love God, love people, pursue excellence, choose joy, and give generously. We can't wait to see you. I love you. I love this city. I love the Chiefs. I love everything about it.
Yes. So can I call on you again if I have any other faith-based questions?
Call me. You can call me.
It's the Shay Moore Morning Show.